All right. Hey guys, welcome back to howtobuycrypto.com. I want to say thank you again for all the people that are adding and questioning and commenting. And I'm going to, wanted to give a few shout outs to Lawrence and Bob and Asif and Dave. And there's a few people between the platforms, between Facebook and YouTube and, emails that I'm getting and phone calls. So I'm really excited that you guys are interested. I'm really excited that you guys are becoming a part of the community. And I don't take for granted any of your questions or any of your comments. I'm really appreciative of all that you're contributing. And, even in the form of questions, guys, it is a contribution because it helps me to know what to talk about. And we're going to get into what proof of stake is for ETH and what that means for you guys that are holding ETH and what that would mean if you were interested in staking some of your ETH. And so basically, I just wanted to quickly show you here, if you're interested in, you found this video on YouTube or you found some of this on, on Facebook, what platforms we can, communicate on. I'm here. This is Marco Echartea page, the public profile page. It's My Quick Tip. You can type in My Quick Tip after facebook.com/My Quick Tip. Find me here. That's probably the shortest amount of information, to type in. Here's the My Quick Tip investing group that you can join as well. And here you see we got some new members in the group, Alex and Brian and Josh and all this, we're excited about you guys being here. And then I've got also my, regular page. You can type in Marco Echartea. It's just harder to remember how to spell this. So you can find us here. And then, of course, the YouTube channel, which you're probably finding me at in the first place. But we got more subscribers. We've got more views, and I'm excited about that. And this video I'm actually making in response to some of the questions and comments that we got. Bob, thank you for the comment. He said good quality video and audio. So thank you very much for that. I'm trying to, make it as good as possible for you guys. And in fact, I'm working to try and get it better than it is now. And I will continue to try and do that. Hopefully, to benefit you guys and to make me feel good about what I'm doing as far as, the amount of work that I'm putting in to just make things better in general. So I wanted to mention, I take your questions very seriously, and I understand now. I didn't even realize this at first, that I do use some technical terminology that you have to kind of go and look up. So I apologize. I've done a lot of reading on this, and in fact, I've got here the Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies technologies. This is by Princeton University. They released this last summer on as a publication, and it's computer science, guys. So there is some complicating words, and it's like feels unnecessarily complicated. But basically, you can't really read this. You got proof of work here, and then a couple pages more. You got where they're talking about proof of stake. But I read through this textbook so that I could better understand blockchain, because I know a lot of people ask me questions and are confused because this is, like I said, it feels unnecessarily complicated. But it's kind of the beauty of what it is. Someone's life work that created Bitcoin that Satoshi Nakamoto gave to the rest of the world, which is a beautiful thing, which is better than our currencies now. And Princeton feels is the future of all cryptocurrencies, and I tend to agree with them. I also have here the Ethereum book. I'm barely getting into this one. But it says here, what is proof of work? If you're interested in getting this book, this one's only like $20, or maybe it was $30. I don't remember. Page 144, you can turn there, or maybe if you can find a PDF of it. Check this out, guys. If you get, for those of you that like Doge or Doggy Coin, follow your dreams. I got a kick out of that. Picked it up for a mouse pad, but anyway, doesn't have a lot to do with what we're talking about today. Just thought it was funny. So anyhow, let's talk about proof of stake with ETH. Now, to understand proof of stake, let me step back just a little bit, and I'm kind of just going to filter down a lot of information because I think it's just going to be most beneficial for me not to go into full explanation of everything that involves the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. But really to simplify it is, one, it uses mining computers, and not computers like my laptop. I have a gaming laptop, but it is no match for the Bitcoin equation or algorithms to solve and find a solution because Bitcoin was necessarily made to be incrementally harder, right? So the payout used to be 50 Bitcoin. When you solve the problem and create and found the solution, the payout for for that was 50 Bitcoin, and now it's down to, I don't remember, it was like a dozen or so now, compared to what it was, and it will keep having, as the algorithm gets more and more difficult, because our technology gets better and better. So if it was as easy to process and, in the beginning stages, now all of Bitcoin would have been mined already, and that was not the intention of Satoshi Nakamoto. His intention was for it to be for Bitcoin to be a steady flow, right? And so that it didn't just get all mined at once and then inflate. And in fact, Bitcoin's intended to be deflationary, and that's the overall thing that is happening with Bitcoin. It's getting harder and harder to buy and harder to find people that are willing to sell it. Its longevity of the mining process was definitely part of the design. Now, when you go past the mining and the warehouses of equipment, and in fact, the consumption rate of this mining and the technology used to pull it out, these ASICs mining rigs and these like supercomputers and warehouses of them that have to be like liquid cooled, the electricity draw on them is something like, they compared it, and it's actually more than the output of the energy of Ireland. So it's actually consuming more than Ireland actually consumes as the whole country, which is kind of crazy. But that's one of the drawbacks to the mining version proof of work method of Bitcoin, which is basically a bunch of random guesses to find out the right solution based on a problem that is trying to be solved. So they're trying to find the right answer to the right problem. The right answer to the problem of this, equation. And when they find the right one, it's because they did a whole bunch of guesses to get to that solution. And so basically, the proof of stake says we don't need all of that. Let's break down all this computing power. Let's break down all of the unnecessary waste of energy, and let's make a bunch of the people that are holding Ethereum actually part of the process of validating the blockchain and coming up with the transactions validations. And basically, instead of having a full nodes, because man, there's a lot of layers to this. So some Bitcoin wallets require a full node to validate their transactions. But some people just have nodes to support the network, right? But you can also, there are a lot of wallets that are partial nodes that only validate, what's in the wallet. They don't care about the whole network. They don't want to carry all the data of the whole network. They want to just pay attention to what you have, right? So what Ethereum's trying to do is get the whole node down to a partial node and minimize the taxation really on, like you could just do on a consumer computer or laptop, and basically consider holding some Ethereum in trade-off to prove that you are a part of the network, right? Or to validate or to prove that you have a stake on claim of the Ethereum network, and say that you can validate other transactions based on the fact that you have a stake in the Ethereum network. So essentially, it removes a lot of that draw of energy. It removes a lot of the congestion in some cases because of the overwork of because there's so much work to mine Bitcoin. The pools of miners are getting smaller, and there's only like 3 or 4 major ones right now, and and then there's some smaller ones after that. But basically, Ethereum is trying to make it faster, right, and less cumbersome and more decentralized, because now the fact that we do have 3 or 4 major Bitcoin miners, they can not easily. If they wanted to, they could create what's that 51% attack and basically control 51% of the nodes and say, because to validate between the nodes, You basically say, I want to buy this much, whatever, like I want to buy coffee. And if you said, you put the transaction through but you said, I wanted to buy 1 million cups of coffee at the same time and tried to pay, 1 million different coffee shops in the whole world. Only the original one is going to make it through, because you have a bunch of nodes that realize all these other ones came at the wrong time. They came too late. So, the original that you're trying to spend, what money you have more than once. But the nodes realize, hey, this is a false spend attempt, and, don't validate that transaction and move it along on the blockchain. And what happens is those other attempts to spend just go away. They throw them away. They don't care about them because they realize those are false attempts. And if they try to validate those false attempts, the majority of the blockchain nodes will only want to do the most correct link in that next chain, because if they validate the wrong one, then they don't get paid, because then it's not a correct, it's not a valid transaction, right? So they don't want to waste their time, their energy, their money to validate the wrong transaction. So this is all, I feel like I'm going way off to the side to explain this, but basically, because of all this complication, Ethereum's attempting to remove all this extra energy, basically when it comes down to energy that is being consumed to produce these Bitcoin. But with Ethereum, what they're doing is saying, and the last number Manny was talking about was 32, the real number. That's the last number that I've heard. That doesn't mean that it's not going to change. They could change it to 1,000 Dash master nodes, or 1,000, to own a master node and to get paid dividends for that, you have to have 1,000 Dash to have a master node. And Ethereum is not the only currency to try and do proof of stake. There are others, and so far we haven't seen complications from them. But on the other side of that, you don't have to kind of really worry about Ethereum, their implementation of this, because in some cases, people are like, well, what if I have a mining rig? Because this is becoming a question for people. Should I be mining Ethereum? And the answer is it's actually become profitable again. When it was cheaper, it wasn't profitable anymore, because basically it gets harder and harder to mine Ethereum. And the same with Bitcoin, okay? So, but the thing is, with the price now going up, it's again becoming profitable to mine Ethereum. So people are wondering, if I get a mining rig and I'm mining Ethereum, what if they go to proof of stake? Then, I paid all this money for a mining rig, and now I don't even need it anymore. It's not even worth it anymore. Well, the truth is, because this is a hard implementation to go from proof of work to proof of stake, Ethereum is basically planning on going to do like 1% at a time. It sounds like starting with 1%. So 1 out of 100 transactions will actually be on the proof of stake model instead of the proof of work, and so they can scale it in, which is very smart, on their part. And I'll show you guys, if you're interested, the different papers, I guess, they release different kind of examples or kind of proposals of what they're going to do with the currencies. This is, it says Vitalik, right? This is the Ethereum 2.0 MOV paper, and you can look at this. I'll put the link in the show notes, but efficiency, proof of stake, block time, scalability, and they're talking about, this implementation. And this is, again, the Ethereum 2.0, the MOV paper. You can see that here, kind of cool Dilbert cartoon with it as well. But if you want to do a little bit more reading up on that, and figure out what I'm trying to explain to you with maybe not the best precision, but hopefully you got something out of that. And I think I did my transition okay. Hopefully you were able to see the screen when I was pointing it out, but if not, I'll have the links there in the show notes. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your questions, as difficult as they can be from time to time. Alan, yes, that it is correct. When you're asking about the Poloniex, yes, that is correct. You don't put money in Poloniex. You can't. but you can transfer your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin over to Poloniex in exchange for the other currencies. It's easiest to do with Bitcoin because Bitcoin can buy all of them. So I think that was a question in full. So yes, moving your BTC over to Poloniex. Okay, I'm just going to read this real quick. It says, I don't have any money in Polo. I just signed up and going to see if I'm tracking with y'all. I have my Coinbase account and have Bitcoin and Ether in my accounts. I see that Coinbase says Bitcoin is $2,500 and Polo has Bitcoin at $2,700. I would want to move my BTC to Polo to increase my profit. Is that correct? Yes, and then you could transfer it into USDT, and then from USDT, go and that would lock in that price, okay? And so if you wanted to buy something else with it that is maybe cheaper, like a lot of times Litecoin is cheaper on Poloniex than it is on Coinbase. So maybe you could buy more Litecoin with the amount of Bitcoin that you had than you could have been able to do by selling into your Coinbase wallet. So this video is getting long. I didn't intend for it to be this long, but hopefully that's okay. And I will just try and talk to you guys next time. Email me at marco@myquicktip.com or myquicktip@gmail.com. Message me, any of these places. You guys can find me. God bless you. I'll see you later.